Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Thank you so much for watching. It seems like we're going to hit 2,000 subscribers today. Isn't that super exciting? Thank you all so much. We've come such a long ways. And I want to give one shout out today to Newport Beach, California. All right, shout out to Newport Beach. Now listen. We're going to 2000 today. I'm sure you guys gonna come up with it. And so I want to say thank you. And this week we're gonna change up the topic and start out on this gossip about Maddie Morgan in the toilet. All right, so we're gonna do it like that. Grab that coffee, grab that tea as we begin our story. There's a rumor going around that Maddie flushed a substantial amount of narcotics down the toilet, and as a result, the Idaho 4 murders were like retribution for, obviously profit lost or whatever. And so I wanted to explore this. I was very skeptical when I first heard it. As far as I know, it has not been verified, but assuming just hypothetically that this was true, what would that mean as far as this case? It would certainly give us a motive, something that we don't really have with Brian Koberger. That's not to say that he couldn't have had a motive. I'm saying we don't have a clear motive, you know, that's just like screaming out at us for Brian. So for it to be drug related and for four people to be pretty much massacred the way they were, drug involvement and the level of violence would make sense. All right, so let's think about this in a couple of different terms. In terms of Brian Koberger, he is pretty much up a creek without a paddle if Maddie flushed drugs, and that was the reason for this assault. Because he is smack dab in the middle of this case. Uh, MPD has already sworn on the Bible that this is the only suspect for them and that they're 100% sure he's the perpetrator. So if this really was a result of Maddie's actions and Brian had nothing to do with it, imagine the horrific situation that he has been in, continues to be in, and probably is facing. If he doesn't have any favor on his life right now, if he hasn't done enough good deeds to kind of bypass the type of sewage activity that he's being subjected to, well, we already know what's going to happen. Now, as far as Brent Kopaka, does that let him off the hook? I'm not sure. I'm not sure because even if it was Maddie and it was drug connections and you know all this stuff was going on, and even if it exonerates Brian, it doesn't necessarily exonerate Kopaka because even if Brian and Kopaka knew each other, that still doesn't exonerate him. He could have been doing it and Brian had no idea because he knew Brian worked for the school and, was involved in criminology. So he wouldn't want his friend to really know about it because that would put him in a bad situation. He would have to make an ethics call. as far as whether he could be his friend and keep his job. So I doubt very seriously that he would say anything about it. So that means Kopaka would still be on the suspect list as far as the drugs, okay? And as far as the actual act of homicide itself, well, it doesn't eliminate him, but it doesn't increase the possibility that it's him either, in my opinion. All right, so what do you think about that one? Does Maddie, the Maddie scenario, exonerate Kopaka, make him more of a fit or less of a fit? All right, well, let me know. Last but not least, we have Enan Harsh. All right, this definitely does not exonerate him as a suspect. And so he lives very close to that house. He knows the roommates. I think by taking Kohlberger out of the picture and saying it was a drug house and somebody flushed the drugs, I think that would increase the likelihood that Ena Harsh was involved or had some knowledge. I I believe it would increase it, not necessarily verify it, but increase it. All right. So what do you think about that one? Because we have to find some way to fill the voids for all of the things that have been planted in our minds towards Brian Kohlberger. Because I mean, if you take him out, put Maddie in the drug house in, that changes the landscape of the entire case. All right, it's profound changes, not just small and significant ones. So we have to really think about it from a universal perspective. And I think these three people um, will play a larger role if Kohlberger is taken out and Mogan is put in.